It's your main man Anil coming live once again for Immunity for the Community podcast. How's everybody doing? How are you all feeling? Today is going to be a very special podcast as part of the Write Your Own Transformational Story course, a way that you can write a new story in your life and really set yourself on the right path towards your calling. This is how we can break the cycle. Yes, how we can break the cycle of men tearing down other men. And this is a common thing that has happened for a very long time, even in this day and age, even with all of the things that we are doing as a society for more inclusiveness, for more rights for people of different genders, of different sexualities. This is still an issue that happens in our day-to-day lives. And today I'm going to help you, I'm going to assist you on how you can reclaim your power as a man, and you can be part of the men that take ownership and break the cycle of men tearing down other men. And as part of the Write Your Own Transformational Story course, this is going to be a very special podcast. This is one that's going to add so much value to your life. It's going to help you to feel healthier, better, stronger, and a lot more focused on where you want to go and what you do want. So let's jump right in. Now, as men, what we tend to do is we associate masculinity with strength. And a lot of the time what you find with men is that we sometimes misinterpret what strength is. So we were always taught you had to be very strong, you had to be very tough, and a lot of us were programmed in this way from a very young age to actually be aggressive. And this is something that I dealt with myself. This is a wiring that was put into me where, I had to be very aggressive and strong, and that was considered to be masculine. And I can tell you right now, in this podcast, I'm going to break this all the way down and really show you what a real man is. And I'm going to help you to break that cycle that has been installed into so many men, and how you can, as a man, take back your power and truly be masculine and strong without tearing down other men. And this is something that has happened over time. It is a very Neanderthalic way of thinking. It is a very old wiring that as a man you must tear down another man to be strong. And it was something that was ultimately really programmed into young men from an early age, from many years ago. And it was the way of, so-called being masculine. But the reality of it is that you truly lose power when you tear down another person, because there's two people in life. There's people who build buildings, and there's people who tear down buildings. Now, which one are you? Are you the guy that's going to build a building, or are you the guy that's going to tear down a building? And there tend to be three different types of men. Not limited to three, but what I notice in terms of three. You have men who are very physically strong, and they add value with their strength. You have men who are very physically strong and intelligent and have a certain talent. Maybe they play the guitar, or they're very good at maths, or they're very good at their studies. And then you have men who are very funny, and so they add value with humor and comedy. And so you tend to get different types of men who fit different sorts of molds. And what I find is that the ones who are quite funny tend to be quite competitive. So they may try and roast another male. So as an intelligent male, you being somebody that associates a lot of significance with being intelligent, solving problems, feeling good, being happy, you may take offense to a male who's trying to, one-up you and compete with you, who's trying to be funny and add value in that way. And as a physically strong male who's totally about being masculine on the physical side, you're going to be quite offended by a guy challenging you who is basically a joker in essence. So in reality, there's about three different types of men that I've come across in my own interactions, and understanding the different archetypes of myself as well, because we all have four archetypes as a man and as a person. This is common amongst every person, man, woman, or otherwise. But let's talk about men. We have the warrior, we have the magician, we have the king, and we have the lover. And here's what I mean. And yeah, I'm not gonna. I actually skipped one type of man actually. Then you have the ladies' man. There we go. And this is how it's linking back into the archetype. So now you can see how this is relevant. So you have the strong male, the physically intelligent male. You have the ladies' man guy who is very, very much a ladies' man. He attracts the women, and that's how he adds value. And then you have kind of like the joker, the guy who jokes but sometimes takes it too far with other males, and he's only really ever going to match up in terms of vibration and getting along with people with other males who also are that way competitive. So what you tend to find is that with these four archetypes, you tend to get four different types of males. You get the warrior, you get the king, you get the lover, and you get the magician. And look, I'm not saying this is totally, absolutely right. This is from my experience. I'm open to feedback, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to type a comment in about, if you think there's another type, that's entirely fine. I'm here to serve you at the highest level so that you can figure out how you can break down this cycle that has been limiting men for a very long time. And so what you find is that the king is very much that intelligent, strong-minded, focused man. He's that guy who's always showing up to work. He's getting along with a lot of people. He's very nice. He's very friendly. And, he's always trying to do good in the world. He's always trying to actually help people and serve people. And he's always doing good at his work. He's hanging out with his friends. He's feeling good. And that's how he gets significance and connection. Then you have the warrior, and that's the strong guy who's very strong in the gym. He's very physically strong. He's very athletic. He gets a lot of significance and a lot of certainty from putting himself through that process of going to the gym, lifting weights, and getting absolutely physically in shape. And that's how he shows his masculinity. And, he hangs around other alpha males who also happen to go to the gym. And that's how he maintains himself as the warrior. Then you get the lover, and this is the guy that is the ladies' man, basically. He's such a player, he's always seeming to get the girls. He just effortlessly finds a way to go out with the ladies. They love him, he loves them, and that's how he gets significance and connection as well, because ultimately, there were many different ways that as men we were programmed to be more of a man, and that's another way that we were falsely programmed, that we had to basically have the most women, which is not true. You don't need to do that. You only really need one woman. I'm only gonna ever want one woman in my life, and that's my girlfriend, who I'm manifesting in, and working towards that goal. And then you have the magician, and this is the joker that I'm talking about. So this is the guy that is always trying to dig, right? He's always competing. Maybe he does joke with you, maybe he does banter with you, maybe you take it and you're cool about it and you get on. But then perhaps he keeps pushing the line, and that's going to get on your nerves eventually. As somebody who's kind of like the warrior or the king, that sort of mold, a joker, a magician who's going to keep on telling the jokes and try and offend you or get under your skin and get reaction, that guy is not going to get on typically with a warrior or a king, because a warrior and a king, they value themselves a lot. So anybody who tries to disrespect a warrior or a king, they're all the way up here trying to drag them down. They're gonna fight back. You see what I'm saying? So that's masculinity. And typically that magician is probably going to get along more with the lover type of guy, because ultimately, a man with good sense of humor can get a girl, but ultimately also a toxic male is not going to be very respectful of his woman, whereas a strong warrior and a king is going to be very respectful of his woman, because ultimately he knows the discipline it requires to be a real man, and he values himself, and he values a woman who values herself too, because he wants a queen, and he's a conscious person of that, and he's very self-aware. But you can see already how there could be certain levels of each archetype in each of us. And so this is where, as males, we may actually have that issue of men tearing down other men. But let's talk about the most common one, and this is the one of men abusing other men. So this is where, as men, we were programmed and wired that to be the toughest guy, we had to basically take our competition on head on, and and take them on and compete with them and just humiliate them. And it was wired into a lot of grown men, and it was totally wrong from an early age. And something, when I looked at it, I realized how insecure it really is, because ultimately, if we're constantly comparing to other men, we're not looking internally, we are pointing to the external, wanting validation from outside, when in reality, all of what we need is already within us. The answers are within us. And so I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to any grown man here, any young boy here, any young man here who feels like he's being attacked by another grown man or another young man. I want you to know that this is a negative cycle of behavior. This is not your fault, and they are in a very low vibration. Okay? And what I want you to understand is that you are enough. You are already enough. God, the universe, whatever you choose to believe